Have you been told that e-collars are the only solution for serious behavior problems in dogs? Or maybe you've been assured they're completely harmless. In either case, you've only heard half the story. In this video, I'm going to show you what really happens when you press that button. That way you'll have the information you need to make your own informed decision. So, what exactly is an e-collar and how does it work? Have you ever wondered what your dog actually feels when you hit that e-collar button? It's a question lots of owners ask, but few get a clear answer. Let's break this device down so we can understand exactly how it works. A basic remote training collar has two main parts: the strap with a receiver that sits on your dog's neck, and a handheld remote you control. When you press a button on the remote, it sends a radio signal to the receiver, triggering the stimulus you've chosen. Most modern collars offer several kinds of stimuli. The simplest is an audible tone the dog can hear. Next comes vibration, a buzz like the one your phone makes in your pocket. And finally, the most controversial, the electrical stimulation, which ranges from barely noticeable to fairly intense, depending on the level you dial in. Let's clear something up. These collars don't zap like a wall outlet. They run on low-voltage batteries and create a static pulse. It's not like the movies where you see a dog launched into the air, but it's also not just a harmless little tickle the way some marketers claim. The sensation feels more like a pinch or an uncomfortable pressure that ramps up with the level. There are two main types: anti-bark collars that fire automatically when the dog barks, remote training collars that only activate when you push the button. That difference matters because the automatic ones never consider why the dog is barking. What few people realize is that the very same intensity can feel totally different depending on several factors. Wet fur or high humidity can boost conductivity, making the pulse feel much stronger. Fit matters too. If it's too tight, the contact points press into the skin nonstop, and if it's too loose, they can rub and cause irritation. On top of that, every dog has its own physical and emotional sensitivity. What a big, tough Labrador barely notices could feel awful to a nervous Chihuahua. Which brings us to a key point. Your dog's emotional state hugely affects how the stimulus is perceived. The same level that was barely noticeable on a calm walk can feel way more intense if the dog is scared or amped up. And that's why there's so much controversy. The very same device can create completely different experiences depending on how, when, and on which dog it's used. It isn't black or white, it's a whole grayscale driven by multiple factors. But beyond how the device works, what really matters is what happens to your dog when that stimulus hits. The physical and psychological impact of e-collars. What if I told you your dog is experiencing much more than what you can see on the surface? When you press that button, immediate changes ripple through your dog's body, and they're not always obvious. The instant the collar fires, your dog's nervous system kicks into gear. Heart rate spikes, the adrenal glands dump stress hormones like adrenaline and noradrenaline, and the classic fight-or-flight response lights up. It's the same automatic biology you'd feel during a sudden scare or awkward jolt. Those internal shifts usually leak outside, although many owners don't spot them as stress signals. Pupils dilate, breathing quickens into panting, ears pin back, tail drops, and subtle facial tension shows up. You might also see lip licking, out-of-place yawns, or a quick head whip toward the collar. These quiet signals tell you your dog is uncomfortable. A University of Lincoln study compared dogs trained with e-collars to those trained with reward-based methods. It found something interesting. E-collar dogs showed more stress behaviors, like lowered postures and avoidance. On the physical side, documented cases range from mild skin irritation to actual burns. Irritation usually pops up where the metal contact points press the neck, especially if the collar stays on for hours or keeps getting wet. But the psychological impact may be even more worrying. Used the wrong way, an e-collar can create broad fear and anxiety. Some dogs start avoiding not only whatever triggered the collar, but also things in the environment they link to the experience. One particularly troubling effect is learned helplessness. That's when a dog figures out it can't escape an uncomfortable or painful spot and just gives up. On the outside, the dog looks calm, like he's learned. But inside, he's slid into resignation, hurting his emotional well-being and seeding other long-term issues. Beyond these immediate effects, what really counts is how all of this shapes learning and behavior over the long haul. Does this method truly solve behavior problems, or could it be creating new ones? We'll dig into that, but first, if you head to happydogsplace.com/gift, You can download a free guide packed with tips to make your dog's life even happier. It's full of fun ideas, helpful strategies, and all the basics every pup needs to thrive. You'll find the link in the description. Do e-collars really work? What if I told you an e-collar's effectiveness depends as much on who's holding the remote as on the collar itself? To understand whether these collars actually work, we need to talk about the basics of how dogs learn. There are 4 main mechanisms: positive reinforcement, add something pleasant to increase a behavior; negative reinforcement, remove something unpleasant to increase a behavior; positive punishment, add something unpleasant to reduce a behavior; negative punishment, take away something pleasant to reduce a behavior. E-collars mainly operate as positive punishment or negative reinforcement. When used as punishment, the pulse hits after an unwanted behavior. When used as negative reinforcement, the pulse stays on until the dog does what we want. Various studies have compared the effectiveness of different methods. One study with hunting dogs showed that both punishment-based training and reward-based training reduced chasing behavior. However, the e-collar dogs displayed more signs of stress while learning. So why all the disagreement? Some trainers with decades of experience defend their use, especially for dangerous behaviors like chasing cars or livestock. Yet organizations like the American Veterinary Medical Association recommend steering clear, citing animal welfare and learning research. Science suggests that while they can be effective in certain cases, e-collars carry welfare risks that other techniques don't. They also demand a level of precision and know-how many owners simply don't have. If you're thinking there must be better options, you're right. Let's look at the alternatives that can be just as effective, without the same risks. Alternatives for training your dog without pain or fear. What if you could get a well-behaved dog without ever reaching for aversive methods? Clicker training is one of the most effective, positive reinforcement methods out there. It uses a little device that makes a click to mark the exact moment your dog gets it right. Immediately after the click, you hand over a reward. What makes it so powerful is that pinpoint accuracy. The dog knows exactly which behavior earned the prize. In a matter of weeks, you can teach everything from basic cues to complex tricks. No pressure or discomfort required. Environmental management is another key preventive strategy. If your dog tears things up when you leave, he might need a safe space stocked with the right toys. Instead of punishing what we don't want, we tweak the surroundings to head the problem off. Redirection techniques are especially handy for impulsive behaviors. If your dog tends to bark at other dogs, you can teach him to look at you instead. That alternate behavior is incompatible with barking and can be positively reinforced. With practice, your dog will naturally choose the option that pays off best. For dogs with special needs, like those who are deaf, vibration collars can be effective communication tools. These collars just vibrate like a cell phone without causing discomfort. They're used to get the dog's attention from a distance, not as a correction. Long line training is a great way to polish recall. A 15, 30, or even 50-foot line lets your dog explore while you keep control. You can call frequently, hand over big rewards each time he comes back, and gradually add distractions. Your dog learns that coming when called always brings something good. For specific issues like chasing animals, proven positive reinforcement protocols exist. The look at that rabbit method teaches the dog to voluntarily glance at the owner when he spots an animal, turning a prey trigger into a cue to connect with you. Do these alternatives work in every case? Truth is, they take time, consistency, and patience. Behaviors ingrained for years might need months of work. The good news is that even the toughest cases usually respond to positive methods when they're applied correctly and consistently. The key is a deep understanding of canine behavior and tailoring techniques to each individual dog. In the end, the choice of method is up to you. But now you've got everything you need to pick what's best for your dog and your bond. And now I'd love you to check out the next video popping up on screen. In it, I share the 7 most common mistakes we make whenever we feed our dogs. Tap the thumbnail to jump to the video and find out what they are.